Two will enter. One will win. Welcome to the fight. Welcome to the knockout.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 14 of the Knockout. This is another fun matchup. I love the randomization of the wheel because you get matchups like this without even trying to. You get Doctor Doom versus Apocalypse. I said it before about another matchup this season, and I'll say it again. This is a battle between titans. One's slightly more powerful in physical form, but the other one, well, let's just say you meet your doom when you face him. So, I'm stepping in to represent Apocalypse because I'm trying to keep the knockout running fairly quickly this season here because of my whole trying to get into the army thing. So I'm stepping in for Apocalypse. So hopefully I can do him proud. I know very little from the comic books. Mostly I know from the movies. So hopefully I can argue well. So vote for me out of sympathy. Please welcome Dr. Doom, John's Comics with Kids.
Yeah, it is. I'm just going to say, if you're hoping that knowledge from the one crappy Apocalypse movie is going to carry you in this debate, you've lost. You've already lost. There's no hope.
Well, we'll see how it is. I know whether I put up a good argument or not. I've been peeking into the polls more and more this season, and I don't see myself turning this matchup around. So unless I get a very sympathetic crowd here, which
Maybe.
is welcome Las Cruces. I hope I said it right. And Entropy and Comics. Welcome, man. I don't think I've seen you in my chat room before.
That's Kevin. He's a local buddy in this area, a local comic book collector and YouTuber in my area.
Well, welcome, Kevin. I appreciate you stopping by. So before I get things started, one final thing I'd like to mention. Let me see if I can reach it here, because for some reason I can't very easily. I am 31 subscribers away from 1,000. And if you guys want a chance to win this Fantastic Four 49, it might be a 1.0, but hey, where are you going to get a free copy of this book, right?
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it any day.
You know, just sub me up. The link in any description is this book or for the contest. All I have to do is to sub me up and follow the other simple rule that's located in that video. I won't tell you what it is, so you have to check it out. So, anything you want to talk about or mention, John, before we kick this show off?
I mean, I want to congratulate you on your anniversary recently. I'm sorry that I did not get to join the live stream to celebrate the big day. And congratulations on this huge journey you're going to go on as part of our military and our armed forces. So just I'm very appreciative of that sacrifice and very impressed with the continued longevity on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to join the military, I guess. Something I thought about right after college, but some kind of snafu 10 years ago, then I got married and had a kid and had responsibilities. And, you know, my head responsibility is head down, focus on what I have right in front of me. And then you look up going, wait a minute, I forgot what I really wanted to do. So,
yeah.
Now
I know that feeling of like looking down and then looking up at your YouTube channel and saying like, I did not have that much gray in my beard when I started YouTube. I don't know what's going on. I know JB in the chat, Discovery Bay, he doesn't know anything about that, but
yeah. And then
it happens quick.
And then two weeks ago, 5 years making videos here on YouTube, and I need to do a video here where I watch the first few clips of my thing and see my very. Yeah, this is a book, and yeah, it's yeah. So and I've seen some monotone reactions from me going like, "Oh, shut up, you idiot." Anyway, so you've elected to go first, and since you're the guest, and so now I'm technically the host filling in, so I let my guests pop in here. So while I post the link in here for people to vote for Apocalypse, I'm just sorry, I got something stuck in my throat.
It's stuck in your throat there, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll let you open your opening statement here with Dr. Doom. So take it away with my doom.
I jokingly said before we went live that this is one of the easier kinds of debates. Whenever you drop a link to friends and say, hey, Doom versus anybody, you don't even need to tell them who you think they should vote for. They just pick Doom because they know Victor Von Doom is just unstoppable. The guy has obviously an incredible array of abilities given to him through his amazing suit. He's got an incredible team of Doom bots, an incredible amount of resources to draw on. And we also don't even want to forget the fact that many people compare his ability with the mystic arts to be on the same level as Doctor Strange. And intellect of Reed Richards, the magic of somebody like Doctor Strange, the armor of somebody like Iron Man, the fleet of soldiers to back him up. He is really just the package, the whole package, an absolute dominating force. And as much as I am an Apocalypse fan, and I got his first appearance, I got a statue hidden back there because I don't want to let people know how much I like him. I don't think he stands a chance. And what I do want to discuss at some point, though, is the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse being in this fray. But for me, it just boils down to all those things that the Doctor Doom brings to the table and nobody being able to stand up to it.
Well said. Well said. I would expect nothing less from John's comics. Whatever show he's on, he always brings the heat and the sounding intelligence. Must have something to do with him being a teacher. Lots of practice. All right. Well, Apocalypse. I think he said, I don't know much, but I'll give my best shot and all that. I said Apocalypse, very old, very powerful mutant, and from what I know, he's immortal. So how is Doctor Doom supposed to actually win against a guy who cannot be killed, who has power over some other technology? I believe I saw in my research, and he also has, Doctor Doom has his mindless Doom bots, because let's face it, he can't trust anyone with a pulse to blindly follow him other than his powerless servants. So he has his Doom bots, whereas Apocalypse has his 4 horsemen with powers and abilities and devoted completely to Doom, body and soul, to the will of Apocalypse. Not to mention, people are just afraid of this guy, and all the mutants are afraid of this guy and what he can do. This is just a very powerful person who literally has control over every single cell in his body. He can literally control and change himself. How do you do that? Dr. Doom couldn't even afford a skin graft. How are these guys? How can he face off against Apocalypse? That's all I'm saying. But again, I'll let you guys vote for Apocalypse, the better obvious winner, while John attempts to argue with me.
So obviously, for me, straight up, Doom versus Apocalypse, Doom wins. Where I think it gets interesting is Doom bots versus the 4 horsemen. For comic book fans, they know that one of the pivotal elements of Apocalypse is the idea that he always has been rounding up 4 mutants that he believes to be Omega level, incredibly talented, and then he genetically modifies them to be even more superior, and then makes them one of his 4 horsemen: pestilence, plague, death, and war. And in doing so, not only creates a force to be reckoned with, but usually revitalizes a character. The best being, of course, Archangel version of Angel.
Yeah.
But in that awful movie, you get to see him do it for Magneto and Psylocke and several others. In the comics right now, you get to see 4 incredible horsemen that they've got for those characters. And I think picking the right 4, I mean, Wolverine has been one of them. You could really get a team that could potentially tip the scales a little bit in aiding someone like Apocalypse, because he is not known as a fighter. He's a leader, right? He is a scientist, like you said, a technopath. He can manipulate technology with his mind and his abilities to ultimately like evolve a human's character, and in that way manipulate the genetics of a character and create a superior being. Again, my favorite is Archangel. I think that version of Angel is actually far superior to the boring version we get the rest of the time.
Well, I never saw. Personally, I never saw the appeal of Angel or Archangel. I mean, all I see is this guy who could fly in any form of the X-Men movies. I'm sitting there going like, okay. The only thing that was slightly cool about him was when he had metal wings and he
Yes,
threw
that's
these.
Archangel.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah,
the Archangel version lost his wings. He was given these amazing metal wings that could also like slice, like they were very narrow and could cut things, and they could throw tranquilizing razor bits that he would just like launch from the ends of his wings. It was easily the best version of that character, faster, way more deadly, and obviously mentally unstable. So a far more fascinating version of that character. But yes, JP, I'm just trying to help. I just happen to help a brother out here, give him a little information on why I like Apocalypse, why I think he's interesting, even though he stands no chance here.
Yeah, but like I said, yeah, you would. Apocalypse definitely is bringing his 4 horsemen, and you have to say the right mixture. If I bring along my 4 horsemen, I say include Professor X and Wolverine and defensive, offensive weapons. You're hard pressed to defeat me, because after all you got is robots who he has to program. And then it's not like they can, not like they're an AI version that can evolve and fix themselves, because that's a robot or a Doombot you cannot trust.
No.
Doom has to be in full control all the time. He cannot afford or chance not to be. Apocalypse at least has his devoted servants that are serving to him, that he can trust to an extent. Because what true villain's going to fully trust the people beneath you? You're always going to have that one eye out just in case for wherever that challenge comes from, but he can trust them more than he can trust the bots. Because
do you have a quadruple threat in mind? Are there 4 people you think of when you're like, these are the 4 horsemen that I would have Apocalypse bring to fight a person like Doom?
Well, I do like the idea of Storm being it.
She's never been one of his horsemen, so that's an interesting pick, as far as I can recall. Maybe there's a story I didn't remember.
I would bring Storm, because he'll have no fury like Mother Nature, and let's make Mother Nature even more powerful. I would take, obviously, I would probably have some sort of technopath like Jean Grey or Professor X. Not, and for the sake of arguments, non-Phoenix Jean Grey.
Because Phoenix, we know, would not follow anyone's instructions.
Yeah, so a technopath or a psychic person. Then I would have, like I said, I think I'd have a Wolverine kind of character who is literally nothing but a killing machine, and his healing factor would add on to my own healing factor in mortality. And then the last one, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe someone probably, I don't know, because I can't really count. I wouldn't really truly count Juggernaut because he's not a mutant.
Yeah. He wouldn't pick Juggernaut. Apocalypse definitely only picks mutants. I know that I was assuming you'd go with somebody like Magneto.
Yeah. Well,
who could control metal, and obviously my character is covered in metal, and his Doombots are made of metal.
I wanted to say Magneto, but I wanted to fish around inside my head and see if I could find anyone else. But yeah,
Plus, you could just turn Wolverine into like an arrow and just fly him around and just slice things up, like just whip him through the air.
Wolverine, do this with your claws out. I'm just gonna fling you around all the
time. Spin you like a tornado and just whip through all the Doombots.
Yeah, that was his. Yeah, but that would be my 4 horsemen: Magneto, Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Storm.
That's a good foursome.
That would be my my powers there. Like I said, Magneto's powers could take out all the Doombots, crushing them, unless they were made out of something that he couldn't control, or some plastic version of bots. And
I'm not certain of the metallic makeup of the Doombots and of Doom's armor, so I'm not certain of how well it could be manipulated. I know that Iron Man's suit never seemed to be something that Magneto could just crush instantly, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was slightly raw enough in its chemical makeup, who knows. But then I could also possibly mess with Doom. Plus, like I said, Apocalypse's ability to mess with technology, it would basically, my ability there would wipe out any of your ability to truly use technology. You'd be purely relying, I believe, on your sorcery to fight this.
Which for me is the deal breaker here. Like that's the game changer. I feel like Doom's often underappreciated ability to be a sorcerer supreme level magic user is what kind of annihilates any plot here, right?
Mhm.
I think ultimately this is the thing that pushes it over the edge to Doom's favor, because he checks all the boxes. The guy basically is a one-man Avengers threat, and if he's able to be that, what hope does an apocalypse with his four horsemen stand? I think
Yeah.
that's when it really tips the scales.
Well, I will admit that you racked up several wins in your category. After all, Doom stole the Beyonder's power briefly. He was the second Secret Wars as God Emperor Doom. And so yeah, you have quite the I am Apocalypse is not going up in any ordinary human being. He is facing somebody who sees a threat or sees a challenge and then is like, watch this. You know.
And his ego can be manipulated.
Mm,
Psychologically, Doom is incredibly egotistical. And as a result, he has been proven to be able to be manipulated psychologically.
mhm.
But that's really hard to do in a just straight up battle where you're not going to sit down to tea
Yeah.
and then try to psychoanalyze Doom.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yes, I thought this was true,
yeah.
JP. I don't know that I can recollect
Yeah.
exactly when and how that played out.
For the podcast and our audio listeners, JP says, my recollection is Doom has prepared for Magneto before, where his power didn't affect it. I forget what story it's from. And for that, I would say I would say that Doom would be prepared for Magneto. We would be aware of these mutants. After all, he has his own in current form of Krakoa, his own the mutants of his country are
Latveria.
Latveria are under his protection, his
Yep.
authority. They're not Krakoan citizens. And so he would be prepared for somebody like Magneto because you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable. Doom is an evil Boy Scout, extremely prepared. So, but Doctor Doom is not going to extend that ability or that armor to his bots. That's for him and him alone. And so so you can say, yeah, Doctor Doom is going to be prepared for Magneto. So he neutralizes one of my horsemen in that way. But Magneto could still take on a lot of those bots himself, tag teamed with Wolverine. And then when they're finished with the Doom bot scrap metal army, it's 5 against 1.
And I think that combination of Wolverine and Magneto is a very potent one. You talk about the fastball special where Colossus throws Wolverine into the fray. You don't even need muscle to throw him now. You just point, right? And just whip him around and kill that guy, get this guy. And I think there's something to be said for that ability.
Yeah, what was his name on Guardians of the Galaxy? The guy who whistled with the arrow?
Oh, Yondu.
Yondu, yeah. Magneto's just whistling as Wolverine's flying around.
Wolverine is just an arrow now. He just whips around.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something to be said for that. I just don't think blunt instruments work against someone like Doom. I think he is adept at handling something that can punch its way, right? The thing has never been successful against Doom. So punching your way or cutting your way through Dr. Doom has not been proven to be successful in the past.
Well, that's where my other horsemen of Jean Grey and Storm come in. These are intelligent, strong women, and plus, even if you could relegate them to just offensive weapons themselves and not the brains behind it, you got a genius level Apocalypse here himself, someone who's been alive for millennia, seen all these technologies, seen this. In fact, I think according to the thing I saw that he merged with celestial technology to, I think in part of my research and all that. So you cannot tell me that he's not prepared for that stuff and all that. You don't have you're not alive for 6,000 years and be called a dummy. So
This is true. He is the like apex of mutant evolution in that way.
yeah.
What's up, Tony?
Wolverine's gonna have extreme motion sickness when this is over. Well, that'd be fun. Just yeah, I could just imagine Wolverine going, "This is getting annoying, bub." So it's just a lot of fun there. But yeah,
Do you feel that Apocalypse's evolution, his immortality, his ability to be a technopath, can match up against sorcery, because this is where, for me, it's the age-old battle of power versus magic, right? Like strength
Yeah.
versus magic. And I don't feel as if the four horsemen and, well, I mean, maybe Jean, but the four horsemen and Apocalypse stand much of a chance against that.
Well, Apocalypse is gonna. Let's say I said we'll just stick with the number 5,000 because I'm not sure exactly when Apocalypse was technically born.
Sure.
So say 5,000 years ago, baby Apocalypse was grew up in his world. My own learning in history and mythologies in school, there's always been magic mythologies and things like that in every civilization. And so for the sake of arguments, those are real too. He's going to see these people with magic. He's going to be studying them because he's just going to know what's going on. So at the very least, I feel after 5,000 years of magic users, knowing that if he's going to be doing anything for conquering the world or taking on somebody else, he's going to know a thing or two about magic. And at the very least, if he can't answer it, he's going to have a solid plan for at least matching it and making it irrelevant or more of an even playing field with him. Like I said, I might pick my own, instead of say Storm or Jean, I pick a magic user in itself, possibly, although the only downside being that he does view humans as beneath him, and I don't know if there's any magic using mutants per se. So it's definitely
yeah, I mean, obviously the character magic, Ilyana Rasputin has some connection to those abilities. That's one character that might, but I do agree that I think it's an area that can't be ignored, and that in a lot of ways counterbalances the quote unquote immortality of someone like Apocalypse. He's immortal the way Ra's al Ghul is kind of immortal, where he has these pits that kind of rejuvenate him, and he has certainly a Reed Richards-esque stretchiness and elasticity that allows him to avoid serious injury.
Yeah.
But he is certainly able to be harmed and has been repeatedly in history. My worry is he trusts other people to do most of his fighting, and I think that's going to come back to haunt him against someone like Doom.
Yeah.
I agree with Old Wolf too, saying strength versus magic. It all depends on how you roll a die 20.
Yeah.
No, this is not Dungeons and Dragons. It's not
So
Dungeons and Dragons.
my thought, my question here, this is both these characters, X-Men, mutant related, and Doom are in your wheelhouse. Jean Grey does she have the ability to like make you forget too? Like, can she dive into your mind?
Yes,
and make you forget something?
She is an Omega level telepath, which means that she can connect minds across incredible distance, but and she can invade somebody's consciousness and mess about. That is a lesser ability compared to her telepathy. It's not an Omega. She's not an Omega level.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's considered. It's not telepathy.
But
what I would manipulator.
Yeah. My point behind that though, since Doom will have defenses, like I said, he will know me, he will know my horsemen, he will have plans, or what he hopes to be plans, to come up to match me. But if Jean Grey, because I know Apocalypse can take these, you said yourself that Apocalypse takes these mutants, gives them a power boost, turns them from, to show how much of a geek I am for kids, turns them from a Saiyan to a Super Saiyan in their abilities. And so he will take Jean Grey's abilities, and while he might not turn her into a Phoenix level, he'll definitely kick her somewhere between where she was and there. And if she can invade Doom's mind, make you forget that you know magic, or not forget that you know magic, but how to do it. Like you can no longer ride a bike, but you have.
Right.
And all I need is that little bit of a time to where you don't know magic. I can control your technology, and now you're just a guy in an iron suit that I can kick around until you are dead. So
I mean, I think upgrading Jean Grey is a scary thought. That would really be concerning. And same with somebody like Magneto. You're talking about people that are at the peak, if not, Omega level characters.
Yeah. JP's just solidly showed up to be on your side. He says Apocalypse has lost teams led by Cyclops, means he has no chance here. Doom doesn't break a sweat beating him. So, how about throwing me some bones, JP? I'm just saying. Gee, see if I ever invite you on again.
That's not how this works. That's not how this works.
I know, just kidding. But yeah, like I said, it all depends on my horsemen, honestly, too, and my abilities too. Like I said, I might be more of a leader, but leaders would definitely have then the army or the army structure around them. Because if I'm not going to get my hands quote unquote dirty, and I know I'm going against somebody who will, well, he might do this, he might not do the same, might not get his hands dirty either, is definitely prepared for every scenario. After all, you don't face off against one of the smartest people in the planet regularly, in your arch enemy of Reed Richards, and not know a thing or two on how to do that. Because after all, these two rival each other in intelligence.
That's what Reed Richards often says about Doom's intelligence, and what Doctor Strange says about Doom's abilities in the mystical arts. There's a lot of respect across the Marvel universe among the great heroes of Doom's intellect, Doom's abilities as a fighter, Doom's abilities as a leader, Doom's ability to backstab, and Doom's abilities in the mystical arts.
Yeah, I forget what story I knew. I'm not sure if it was a story or a podcast or something, but like Doom was on the side of the good guys. I think it was that Dark Ages comic book. There's like a
series by Tom Taylor.
Yeah, where this celestial being basically inside the Earth that Strange was killed before he closed the portal, and as a result, there's no power anywhere in the world, and Doom's fighting with the survival of the rest of the Marvel universe inside their thing, while Apocalypse is doing his thing in Paris. I love that series. I wish that thing was a continuing series. I love these dystopian,
alternate
realities. Like there's a 2-season show called Revolution, where the technology sucked all the power, or these little electrical robot things that sucked all the power from the world, and you basically revert us back to the steam engine age. It was just a lot of fun. You got people running around with black powder rifles and swords with the guard with brass knuckles, and it was just a really cool show. I loved it a lot. The United States was no longer United States. You got the New England area, the Georgia area, the Republic of Texas, shocker, California, shocker, the wasteland, which was basically the breadbasket northern part of the United States in the middle there, and it's just a lot of fun. I was just kidding, JP, but he says, "Okay, I can be fair. The problem is here, even with the horsemen mow through the Doom bots, he most like just uses them to distract the horsemen and goes after Apocalypse himself." And that is a good point. Doom is not going to be outsmarted very easily. Doom and Apocalypse are both he might be possible to Apocalypse to trick Apocalypse. I will say that. I would say that Doom has maybe the slight edge in being able to outsmart, and so Apocalypse cannot afford for a second to take Doom for granted, because the second he does, one of Doom's boots is on my neck.
Well, yeah, I think strategy would benefit both of these characters, right? They're both incredible strategists when it comes to war, and this would be a battlefield where they would both have to be trying to outsmart one another.
True.
Doom has the benefit of a Where's Waldo scenario here. He blends in with all these other Doom bots and has the ability to then manipulate the scene the way he wants, and then throw in his magic ability. And he's in this place, he's in that place, he's moving around. This allows him the flexibility, I think, to be as sinister and as twisted as he would like to be. It would fall upon this group of 5, the 4 horsemen and Apocalypse, to really come up with a strategy to match an army.
True that. I wish I knew more if that Franklin Richards was still, because I know he was kind of a mutant, but then
Let's
kind of not.
This. Yes, Franklin Richards is a mutant, and potentially the most powerful mutant ever to exist. firstly, where would he fall in the loyalties of this? And what would he end up doing in a contest like this?
I don't know where his loyalties per se, because I know his sister Val is, like Uncle Doom,
Yes.
and it's kind and he has like a tenderness towards her.
Yep.
But from what I recommend remember from him from the slot Fantastic Four, I don't know. He was kind of I create universes. And, punk, and then he was like, I lost my powers. I'm not a mutant anymore. I'm mastering my energy. Me. So I don't know if he's powered up yet again or not. I tried to give the new writer a chance, and I lasted a few issues, and I dropped the book quicker than it was hot. Although I am gonna buy that book with Dr. Doom riding a Doom dinosaur. That thing just looks. I will buy that just for the cover, not read the book.
I will recommend to your readers and your audience here to check out the Dodsons did a series, 4-issue series called Fantastic Four and the X-Men, and it focused on Valeria and Franklin and their sort of life living in the middle between the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom on one side and Krakoa and the mutants on the other. And in the story, they end up being sort of, I'll put air quotes around, kidnapped by Doom, and they end up on Latveria. And the mutants and the Fantastic Four both sort of fight on the island as a way to try to take the kids back. And what that reveals, as far as at least the most current kind of place for Franklin, is that he has no loyalty to the mutants specifically. He has a ton of loyalty to his parents and his family, even if he's frustrated with his dad in some ways. And he does love his sister, who in turn loves Doom. How he feels about Doom is far more vague.
Yeah, I agree with JP. Franklin most likely ignores both of them. He's like, I won't be loyal to the mutant and Apocalypse. I won't pledge myself fully to you, Apocalypse, like you're one of your horsemen.
Yeah.
But he's also gonna go on, Dr. Doom, you're also a little dipshit.
he knows the truth of Doom's character, and I think in that way wouldn't necessarily align himself there either. But between the two, I could easily see him preferring to go to something familiar in Doom, and knowing his sister would be a part of that Latverian Republic. I think he could definitely be somebody that would side more with Doom, but I don't think he would end up like JP is saying. I don't think he would pick either of them, and would not necessarily if free will is a part of this, would not use that to join either one of these characters.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and that if Franklin bent a knee or one side recruited him sooner than the other, it would be Doom that he would side with versus Apocalypse. So I would say
only
that
by familiarity.
Yeah,
right?
it would be the familiarity and the fact that, well, I can't fully trust Doom, but he's the devil I know. So
It's a fact, yes.
So, I also say, for the sake of our arguments here, that Doom will thoroughly plan out something and could plan for the long haul. Apocalypse does have the hindsight of my immortality, that I could outlast you. I could plan for the 100-year war, and you can't per se last that long. I would say, at least especially physically, unless you hook yourself up to some sort of machine or implant your brain inside one of your bots. You're not going to, like a Mira, or what's her name now, who helped form Krakoa, who's now a robot instead of a person.
Moira.
Moira, there you go. Unless you're like Moira, where you're a robot body, you're not going to physically last as long
He'll
as
just
me.
keep sending droves of Doombots, and you won't know that as they're whittling you down and wearing you out, one of them might actually be Doom, and then he's the enemy line and wiped you out.
See, even his internet disagrees with him. It's like going, no, bull, I'm gonna cut him out.
Oh, my internet's going out on me. Sorry,
it glitched for a second there, so even your internet was going bullshit.
Yeah, I get it. You're
But
using your technopathy to control the internet.
yeah, see, there you go. Apocalypse is winning already. So,
That's what happens when you have teenagers using your internet.
oh yeah, those. Me and I don't know how you do it with two girls. I have one 15-year-old that I want to kick out every day. So,
I have one 15-year-old, soon to be 16-year-old, who pushes those buttons.
yeah, well, I thought I had a skill with getting into a little bit of trouble growing up. He's like, watch out, watch the master at work.
hold my drink.
Hold my Lipton iced tea while I kick your ass. It's like, it's like,
I
yeah.
love it.
So, but yeah, this is definitely a very formidable matchup, and this literally is a flip of a coin. You got two people that have to out. This matchup is not so much about power. This matchup will be decided by brain, and brain alone. Power will do into a play. Doom has his brawn and his sorcery and his robotic army and his technology and his knowledge. Apocalypse, I have my army.
Keep going. No, keep listing all the Doom stuff. You're doing it for me.
Apocalypse has his horsemen, has his other, because if anything, mutants are loyal to mutants. And if my 4 horsemen are not enough, especially right now, maybe not currently right now, but before the Fall of X storyline, I got my 4 horsemen and the mutants of Krakoa on my side to supplement my army. So even if I only have 4 horsemen, they're the lieutenants over the general army that would fight. So you just got those two things. This matchup, we got power on both sides. And this,
so then ultimately, if you're talking about bringing in the Marvel universe as a whole, then you're talking about who would they side with? And I struggle to imagine the Marvel universe siding with Apocalypse, who clearly wants to lead to the strongest will survive, authoritarian kind of violent future, versus the Doom, who ultimately wants peace. He wants to be in charge, but he wants peace.
Well, this Apocalypse here.
Look at Latveria. Let's just look. You could even look at and compare Apocalypse's world, where he came from, and Doom's world, which is Latveria. Which one has peace and prosperity? I mean, ultimately, you can look at those two civilizations as examples of what these gentlemen want to create. So if you're arguing that all the mutants would just join Apocalypse in this battle, I think that's a false theory that I think would ultimately belie itself based on the fact that his world is not one they would want to live in.
It might be more peaceful in a sense, but still and they might have a sick loyalty to Doom, but it's still he has power and control is tighter than my fist. It's not it's not any sort of, it's a very fun, and it's you could easily replace, that country, that world with Apocalypse's, and it would be the same thing, just slightly more bloody. But for the sake of arguments, here, Apocalypse is not trying to take over the world. He's trying to take over his own country. He's formed his own Krakoa. Krakoa doesn't happen. He's forming Krakoa in Latveria. He's going to form Apocalyptia.
It's called Araco, ultimately.
Yeah, Araco there. He's going to form that in Latveria because ultimately he views his mutants as superior to the humans, and you guys don't deserve that country. And no one's going to miss Doom. And no one's going to miss Doom. I mean, seriously, you go like, no, stop. Not Doom. Not Doom. You don't want a beer?
JP says that the rest of the Marvel universe ends up making a 3-way war, that they wouldn't side naturally with either. However, Doom would be better equipped to manipulate them into helping. And that's ultimately where I'm at with this, because Apocalypse is not ever somebody who's trying to convince you. He's not trying to sell you. Apocalypse is just saying, look, the strongest survive. That's life. Like, I don't have to sell you on this. And I will make you the strongest so that you can survive. And it's the Lord of the Flies mentality, where we're just going to let chaos reign and the strongest of us will be in charge. And that's all. Versus Doom, who's trying to create a civilization with him at the top, but certainly with the allowance of prosperity and peace at the base.
Well, Apocalypse is doing the same thing with my argument here, and the X-Men, while they want to do the best thing for the entire world, when it has come down to it, even the X-Men do side, maybe not with evil mutants per se, 100%, but they always end up siding with mutants, or at least sympathetic towards mutants. And so it would be, if it's Apocalypse versus Doom, he might be able to convince enough, especially in this current age of Krakoa, that we're all supposed to be one people and you leave your past behind you. We're going after a common world global enemy. I'm pretty sure I can convince even the goody goody two shoes X-Men characters out there to
bold take.
Well, even the idealists, then the doughy-eyed idealists, that Doom is the enemy, and we need to band.
Yeah, I disagree there too. I think the mutants would ultimately realize, look how well he treats the mutants of Latveria. He's not a genocidal race warrior who's trying to put mutants in their place, right? He is looking to create a better civilization where mutants and humans live together, and that there is this controlled peace situation where he's at the top. Versus Apocalypse, who is definitely a genocidal warrior and wants to wipe out so that only the strongest are left. And then we'll have our gladiatorial arena ultimately.
Well, we all have to have a hobby and a coliseum.
I love it.
I mean, after all, how are you supposed to control a country if you don't have your bread and entertainment? They knew this in the Roman Empire. They knew this in Hunger Games. You have to feed your people and give them wrestling and football. And then it's like, give us more, God. Give us more. Yeah, go ahead and kill those people all you want. Give us more. So it all depends on how you butter it up. Doom doesn't even let them have football. Off with his head.
What? Why would Doom of the two people here? Yeah. Who would be telling their civilization that they can't have a sport?
Well, who wants to play Doom ball? That's not fun. And all the people,
time for fun,
and all the people running
in your like militaristic hellscape,
and all those people running around in suits of armor with green capes. Everyone looks the same. You don't know who's on your team and who's not. It all sucks.
Oh my God. I love it. I love how we've gotten to a place where it's not a one-on-one battle. This is no longer Apocalypse versus Doom. It's the Marvel Universe at stake in the center, and who can persuade them to join one faction or the other. Yeah. Because these are global manipulators, right? Yeah. This is not the Riddler versus Two-Face. These are global villains. Yeah. Villains at the peak of their skills. So this would be a battle in the Marvel Universe. Of manipulation, right? Manipulating the populace.
Yep. And I said it in the very beginning of the season when I introduced it. This is the season of the villains. This is all bad guys, and with all the bad guys, there is no real rules. If it's within there, the only thing I required out of this whole season was you have to be true to your character. And if Doom would say, and Doom is not going to just solo himself like in the regular matchup, he would bring his Doom bots. He would, Apocalypse would bring his horsemen.
It depends on who Doom was fighting. I think if Doom was fighting the Joker, he'd show up. He wouldn't even bring the Doom bots. He would just show up. He could probably just send a Doom bot.
Well, it would be a possibility. But like I said, as long it has to reside true to the character, or you have to be able to argue a case and make it work. Like I'm trying to do with some of it too. So it is. It is the case. So this would almost boil down to a Marvel global war between everyone else recognizes as evil and as somebody who only pops up now and then, it seems like, in storylines. So Doom
is which is which, but
well, I always see and hear more of the enemy as Doom in all the comics. It's almost like you don't hear much of Apocalypse outside of X-Men.
There are a limited number of stories with certainly in the modern era with Doom trying to just take over the world. There are plenty of them where Doom is caught up in an event and twists it to his advantage. There are lots of those. Nowadays, Doom is happy in Latveria if his people are happy and if everything is stable. When the symbiotes attack and he's got to deal with all the crazy monsters coming, he's going to mount up against Null. or when mutants decide to invade Latveria and attack, he's going to mount up. But he is ultimately trying to be the truest leader to his people, and that job is incredibly important to him.
And if the end goal of this was conquering the world per se, I could say I would, as Apocalypse, go to you as Doom, going, okay, Doom, hey, come here. I'll leave your little territory alone. You rule your country. No, I won't touch you at all. The rest of the world's mine.
I definitely don't see the ego of Doom agreeing to something that bold, but I do like the sales pitch.
Yeah,
I remember most recently with a Doom storyline with Storm involved, where when Storm became the regent of Mars and became in charge of Mars, and by proxy the representative of Earth to the universe, Doom was not even happy with that. He showed up at her house and was like, hey, I know that you got a whole planet or whatever. Why do you get to represent all of humanity? Like, this isn't cool. I should be a part of this discussion here. His ego would not even allow for Storm to represent Earth abroad. He was going to put his name in the hat for something that trivial.
Well, see, there you go. Doom is a petty little man focusing on little things, and I am the big picture.
I don't know if it was a little thing, but yes, he is petty.
Yeah, I'm going to roll into the White House and go, Mr. President, I'm Secretary of the United Nations, damn it, because I say so. No, Apocalypse is over here going, Doom, Doom, Doom. I remember these two little kids who were roughhousing at once. You might know them, Hitler and Stalin. Little non-aggression pact. We'll do the same thing.
Oh, there you go. Does the battle become a team up? But ultimately, no villain team up can last. The backstabbing has to occur.
See, now I got JP. Doom, definitely petty. So there you go. I win.
To that point, this all comes back full circle now, right? Because the final debate, and we can get into closing arguments here if you need to, but the final debate is, if they agreed, hey, together we can take over the world. Sure. How long does that pact last before somebody stabs who in the back? And it's Doom, and he's thought it out, and he's ready, and he wins.
Yeah, but it'd probably be Doom that stabs him first, and I'd say it lasts longer than a day, but shorter than the last two fighters left. They'll probably said, okay, I wiped out the Avengers, I wiped out the Champions, I wiped out, I wiped out the few X-Men who had opinions.
Yep.
And I wiped out these other people. All right, now let's focus on Mr. Tin Man, who lacks a heart. So,
I mean, he is the Tin Man. He definitely does not have a heart, except for Latverians. He cares a lot about his people.
Well, he cares because he has to have rules over somebody, because he needs
right.
Without his kingdom, he's just a man looking for a family. Poor Doom.
Aren't we all?
All right. The voting link is active for another 11 minutes. It will expire at the top of the hour. So we can go ahead and go up to closing arguments here if you want.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'll kick off first since you did it first. I'll kick off. So, all right. Apocalypse is, like I said before, Apocalypse, I will bring my 4 horsemen into the mix. And if I'm picking any 4 horsemen, I'm bringing, like I said, the Master of Nature, Master of Magnetism. And while that might not affect Doom himself, will definitely, Doom's keeping the best technology to himself. He's not spreading it around to his robots. So at the very least, I can wipe out any support system Doom has along with his technology, leaving him with possibly only magic. But then again, I got Jean Grey to tinker with his mind, so where he's drooling out of the side of his armor, making it rust. You got, like I said, you just got Apocalypse, who's been alive for thousands of years, who's seen civilizations rise and fall, sees magic users, and see these people with godlike powers. He's gonna have a plan to form against Doom. Doom has a brilliant mind. He has victories to match Apocalypse's power. but he's
Keep
still
going. No, keep
he's
going.
still
Keep
one
going.
man. He's still one man who Apocalypse will have had a couple of millennia to develop the perfect plan from his thousands of years of life experience. If there's one thing Doom cannot match, it's the experience of Apocalypse. Doom has his mind and his, skill tactician, just like Apocalypse does, in almost the exact same level. But you cannot match experience in this fight. That's one thing I've learned in my 33 years, is experience sometimes is the tipping factor. If you got things that are literally 50, 51, 49%, experience is usually the 2% factor to tip over one way or the other. And that's where Apocalypse will shine. He's got the X-Men. He can bring the X-Men now. He's got mutants on his side. He views humanity as scum of the earth, no matter how powerful they are. He's not going to be pushed over by this guy who's very petty. We've had the chat itself agree. This guy's, petty little Tin Man here. That he's challenging Storm over a miscongeniality story title. I mean, seriously. He wants to be vice president of the United States that badly. Yeah, so vote Apocalypse, vote for mutants, because after all, we're going to be around long after you humans are. So take it away, Dr. Doom.
Yes, Doom is definitely the force to be reckoned with in the Marvel Universe. And when you put him on that scale, the scale that says he can handle Galactus, who cares? Does Apocalypse even rank anymore? And this is what I find most fascinating. Doom is on a level where he is basically not a god, but as close as you're going to get for what he can accomplish. This puts Apocalypse out of the discussion. And as interesting as it is that his ability to amplify and evolve other great characters, I don't think that there are anyone that he would be able to put to a level that could counter Doom. I mean, I think it's an interesting discussion, but as a hypothetical, there's no question. Doom is the character with the intellect, with the magical abilities, with the technology, with the resources, and with the drive to create the utopia and to sell it to whomever is in the way. So somebody like Apocalypse, who only has one thing to sell, power, and he's going to try to sell it as big as he can, but it's based on brutality, it's based in death, violence, all these things that the Marvel Universe would turn against, things that would ultimately make Doom even more powerful in such a scenario. So, there is no choice here. He is the guy. So Doom is the one who deserves your vote.
But I got apocalyptic cookies. Free cookies. Awesome. What's that Avengers book over your left shoulder?
I'll pull out Apocalypse here just for you.
He threw in the hat. John gave up. Apocalypse wins. We put it down.
I got my statue from my LCS a few years ago. It's a great. I think it's a build whatever statue or action figure where you get all the pieces and other sets. I love the character. I think he's absolutely fascinating, and as an X-Men fanboy, I really do dig what he does to that universe and the way he shakes things up. I just don't see him being a match in this particular sense.
Yeah. So, well, we have 5 more minutes before the link expires. While we wait for people to vote, so click this link here and vote. While we are waiting for the last few votes from the chat to get in, let's show you guys what's coming up next on the Knockout next week. Let me bring up. We got a exciting matchup between Mr. Freeze and Ultron. Wednesday, October 18th, 9 p.m. Eastern. Mr. Freeze has been the dark horse this season so far. He was carried to victory by Legion of Comics and his many DC following fans, supporters. So whoever this if Mr. Freeze wins this matchup, I would worry for John here, because John will face off one of these two winners here. If he faces off against Mr. Freeze, he's going up against Legion.
I'll say it right now. Whoever represents Freeze,
Mhm.
you can argue that Mark will help you as much as he can to get
Yes.
votes, but nobody in their conscious mind would ever assume that Dr. Doom would lose to Freeze. Hard pass. His little ray gun, his little freeze gun stands no chance.
Yeah. And it all depends. So it just depends. Whose friend list is bigger? John and his X-Men buddies, or Mark and his DC friends?
Mark's going down. Mark's going down. Although it's not Mark. The funny thing is Mark is not representing this character, right? It's Warlord.
Yeah.
Mark just helps. He's supporting Warlord.
Yeah. Legion.
He's the money behind the throne.
Mark and Legion. Yep. He's the money. He's support. He's the what's the political group? It's called a
Super PAC.
Super PAC. Mark brings his DC Super PAC. So
and I will bring my Marvel Super PAC. If this is a Marvel DC showdown, you got me. Don't worry.
Yes.
But I still think this is a ridiculous showdown. Ultron wins right here. Ultron.
I don't know. Can Ultron match up when temperature gets very cold? After all, machines break down.
I think he'll be just fine with Mr. Cold Man.
Yeah, I mean, realize he doesn't
Captain Faux Cold.
I realize he doesn't have a circulatory system to freeze solid and not pump anything, but technology does tend to break down a little bit. Batteries short out when being too cold.
And Ultron has a legion of Ultron bots. Like this is one guy.
Yeah.
One guy with a limited power supply.
Yeah. All right. Get your last few votes in, guys. I will, the link is right here again. I'm going to bring it up here and we'll see who wins here. We'll see if I managed to, because I was behind before the show started. For some reason, people like Dr. Doom. It's a little weird. It's a little weird.
I want to shout out an omnibus, by the way, that's out there. You can get the Dr. Doom Book of Doom. And it's got an incredible array of his earliest appearances, origin stories, and great classic Dr. Doom. Even some of the magazine size Marvel editions. Really cool omnibus if you want to get caught up on who is Dr. Doom.
That looks like fun. So yeah, we'll see if I managed to pull any miracle out there, or if all you guys were just apocalyptating like me for me.
It's okay.
All right.
Vote your conscience, folks.
Yeah, vote your conscience and support the host. Support the host. Who had to argue against John's Comics with Kids.
It's the hardest job there is.
Although with me and John, it's just a lot of fun. If he doesn't want to bring back Comicgories, and I ever find the time, I would love to have me and John as co-hosts of the Knockout with our selected.
We each pick somebody to represent.
Yeah.
I like this plan.
It's like basically, it's like you're 12 on my side, my 12 on that side, and we're just we're just like, and then who?
Sir, you just hit some comic book YouTube gold right here, I think, already.
Yeah. So, all right. The results are in. The winner of the Knockout episode 14, Dr. Doom versus Apocalypse, is shocker. Dr. Doom with 11 votes. I didn't get one with 3. So Apocalypse got 3. This was Dr. Doom took Apocalypse behind the barn and gave him a spanking. So this wasn't even close.
But hey, only 15 total votes. This is easy to swing either direction.
Yeah. And JP, Comicgories better happen before that. Yeah.
Sorry, man.
I blame the girls and taking up Dad's time.
You should, and that's a fair excuse, but it's ultimately just busy life, as you know.
Yes, and I'm about to join the army, and so who knows what the Comicgories will look like, or not Comicgories, Knockout looks like. This might be something where I can only do a weekend thing anymore. So can we do Saturday or Sunday, guys? And then it's okay. I got an hour of time at 10 o'clock at night here to do the show. Let's get the John ditching me, John ditching me while I'm in chat. Well, maybe I'm just the better co-host. Just, you know.
Less that I have to schedule and organize.
He's
It's always a win.
He's going with the newer model, JP. Sorry.
JP is still young. JP's got a couple more months to pretend to be young, and then we're the same age again.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? I like to make my jokes. So, all right. Well, it's been a fun episode with John. It's always a fun time when John's on the show. That's why I love having him on. And while I just wouldn't let him get out of this season, I just had to.
I appreciate your flexibility because I know you've been very understanding of the craziness of my life these days. And I appreciate the fact that yours is getting just as crazy and that you're still putting together all this great content.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying my hardest to get this season done. And then it's like, okay, the knockout could take a year sabbatical while I go through basic and
you've got 9 episodes to fit in. 9 more after tonight to fit in.
Yep, and the next one is next Wednesday between Mr. Freeze and Ultron. So just got 2 more months after that, and I think I can make it work, especially since because of filling in the packets related to the paperwork I need for my medical stuff, we missed this month's deadline to complete the packet. So I think I bought myself a little bit more time in that regard, even though I didn't want that extra time. Well, if I get another year older, I had to have an age waiver just to make sure I can get in, because I'm no longer the 20-year-old punk who can just get in. It's like going, well, are you young enough to be in here now? Even though you're not old, so. JP, wow, this turned mean. I don't need to stay here and be treated like this. I can go anywhere and get treated like this. Oh, don't worry, JP. I won't say it to your face. If you want to turn around, I can continue to talk behind your back. That's okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, as I tell my brother, if I'm not being mean to you, that means I don't like you. That means I don't like you anymore.
There you go.
So,
I know that feeling.
So, all right. I'll see you guys next week for the knockout, October 18th, 9 p.m. Eastern, Mr. Freeze versus Ultron. See you guys next Wednesday, folks. Have a good night.
Bye.